Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Awesome in Seattle podcast. This is your host, Christian Nossum of the Awesome Nossum Group at Wilson Realty. And today we are talking about an awesome yet very underutilized strategy in real estate called the live-in flip. That is where you live in the house and you flip it, and then you move after a couple years. And we have a very special guest. But before I get into that, I'm going to introduce my amazingly beautiful co-host. Who is this person?
I am your wife.
Oh, my wife. That's
Yes.
right. Yes. Shannon Nossum is her name. And then we have a very special guest. And this is someone that is utilizing this strategy. And this is why we've had him or have him on. We have helped him buy two houses. I don't know how many we've helped you buy so far. One of many so far. How about that? And it's Victor Esquivel. And did I say it right?
You did.
Good job. Whew. All right. Victor, thank you for joining us.
No, thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah. So let's kind of talk about what exactly a live-in flip is. Do you want to describe it real quick?
Yeah. So a live and flip is a real estate investor strategy, ultimately, that bridges a gap of a traditional real estate strategy with advantages of home ownership, right? So you're able to finance a property with traditional financing, homeowner, right? Just cheaper debt.
Yeah.
And there are tax advantages when you do go out and sell the property. So
Yeah.
that's the foundation of it. So.
Yeah. So, I mean, you could literally buy a property as your primary residence, meaning you're going to live in it. You could have 5% down payment or more if you wanted. You could even do 3.5% or 3%, or depending on what your deal is, you could even do potentially 0% down. Buy a house, flip it, and then in 2 years you can sell it and make up to, if you're married, $500,000 tax-free profit. If you're single, $250,000 tax-free profit on the sale of the property. So yeah, like you said, it's a very amazing process. It's one that a lot of people just don't think they could do. And I think my goal for this episode is to show a lot of people that you actually can do it.
Yeah.
Not nearly as hard as maybe you might think. And the cool thing about being the one that's living in it, you can make some errors and mistakes and still be completely fine. And I'm not saying that because you made any. I'm just saying that because you're in it as your personal residence, you don't have some of the same time.
Yeah, you have a longer runway.
Yeah, which makes it a lot easier. So
I know you've done flips before. So I know you're totally capable with that strategy, but why do you like the live and flip strategy?
I would say it allows me to control the risk a little bit better, right? Because with investing, any type of investing, to be honest, there's always risk associated, right? Whether that's stocks, crypto, real estate, there's always risk. But with real estate, and specifically this strategy, it allows you to control it. Of course, you still have to follow fundamentals of buying undervalued assets, but that's just, more, it gives more meat on the bone, right? Ultimately, so.
yeah.
And I'm really, really excited. I think we've talked about this a lot, that this is underutilized. And I think even a lot of real estate investors that I know don't utilize this strategy, which we didn't either for a long time. We did for a good 10 years.
10 years in a row, and then we had kids, and then we stopped.
We moved for 10 years in a row, and then we stopped, and now we're utilizing this strategy again. But even traditional home buyers, you don't have to be a real estate investor to want to use this strategy. So I'm excited to dig into it more. So I know you have a W-2.
Meaning you have a salary job.
Yeah, a salary job.
Yes.
Tell me how that job how do you work with this live and flip strategy with that job, balancing your time, but also how does that help you be able to do this strategy?
Yeah, I would say having a job, the biggest advantage to it is that you're financeable, right? You're allowed to, like you called out, Christian, to have multiple options for financing, right? Whether that's 0%, 3%, 5%, et cetera, right? That's one of the biggest advantages. And as far as balancing that with a real estate project, I think it comes down to, things that are in the process of the real estate transaction itself, right? Who you hire, your team, what your vision is with the property. Definitely a lot, but that's where, systems come into play, so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Okay, so if somebody's thinking about doing one of these live-in flips, share with them kind of what a buy box might look like for this kind of project. What would they be looking for? What were you looking for? Can you share a bit more detail?
Yeah, for me, since I am married, I have a beautiful wife who is very supportive about this journey. I also have 3 children, right? So my buy box is going to look very differently than most people, right? I am targeting, good neighborhoods in Seattle specifically, and I am targeting, again, undervalued assets where I can build equity, right, through value add, right? And what I'm trying to build is a 25% equity position after my all-in costs.
Got it.
So good neighborhoods, value add, where I can fit my family ultimately.
Got it.
Right?
So to put numbers on that, at the end of the day, if the house is worth $1 million, you want to only be into it for $750,000.
That is correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So easy math right there. And it sounds crazy to people, I think, to say you're going to have $250,000 in equity. It's really not that difficult, especially since you're looking at this over a 2-year time span, right?
Yes.
This is not a 3-month later, you flip the house and now you have this. You got some debt, loan balance buy down, which isn't much, but you got some of that, plus time, plus the value that you've added to the house over that time frame. So it is much more doable than I think most people think. And clearly it works because you're doing it. So, so yeah, good job there. How are you finding and funding your deals?
Great question. So the finding, I think it goes back to a comment that I made earlier, having a good broker on your team, who knows that buy box that we described earlier, who knows your goals. That can be on market, off-market transactions. For my first live and flip, it was a on-market transaction, right? So that's how I'm finding those, by networking, right, with the right people ultimately who know my goals and who want to grow together.
Yep.
How am I funding? My first one, I funded that through, again, savings that I had. I was already investing in stocks. So basically, I had a small portfolio of stocks where I was just investing into the S&P 500, and that grew over time, right? Dollar cost average into this. So I was tapping into those funds. In addition, I had a primary before that. So, something that happened that was great during 2020, 2021 with real estate is, the debt was very cheap.
Yeah, super cheap.
So I refinanced my house into a 15-year 2% rate.
Wow.
In addition to that, since the equity had been doubled due to the surge in prices, I pulled a HELOC on it.
Smart.
So I was able to leverage my previous primary for my next project, right? So compounding the equity.
And then did you sell that primary or did you keep it as a rental, or what was your strategy in that regard?
I kept it.
Nice.
Mainly because the debt on it is very cheap.
Yep.
If you look at a amortization schedule, you'll see that the payment on that is mostly principal. So I think of it like a savings account. Again, I'm doing this to build wealth, right? And ultimately, so my kids have something secure for the future, right? Where that's college education, where they want to start a business, because everything's getting very expensive here.
Yeah.
So
I don't think it's going down anytime soon either. Yeah, that's super smart. How much capital do you usually bring into your live-in flips?
great question. The first one, I did a 5% down on traditional financing. So it was 5% down of the purchase price. If I recall correctly, that's probably around $50,000. In addition to that, I needed to fund the rehab, right? Because that's a big portion, right? So it's a value add strategy still. And for that one, I probably brought in an extra $200,000 to $250,000. So,
and then did you leave all that equity in the house, or then did you later get a home equity line of credit or refinance or do anything in that regard to kind of tap into the equity that you built?
Yeah. So that's just basically to like multiply my equity, right?
Yeah.
So you're absolutely correct on that assumption. I did refinance a property, right? So after I purchased it, I refinanced
After you did the rehab and increased the value, made the house worth a lot more.
Yeah. So then once I had my new value, I went to a credit union, a local one, and showed them my appraisal, and they're like, yeah, we can give you, I think, up to 80% of my loan to value.
Yep.
And again, leaning back on my W-2 as good.
Yeah.
Because they just still need to get approved for that second loan. So I was able to tap into that equity. So
nice. Very, very smart. What does your live and flip buy box look like? Because I know you're looking in Seattle. So how are you kind of looking at houses and how are you evaluating them to see if it makes sense for you?
And do you need or want to get to that? So part of the thing we haven't really touched on in this is that part of the reason people want to do this is that capital gains savings.
Yes.
So when you make this money or sell the house, you are exempt from capital gains if you've lived in the house the last 5 years. And so I've heard some investors say, especially if they're married, they want to get to that $500,000 mark, or maybe they have another benchmark and they're like, we'll get there because of appreciation or paying down, whatever. Do you have like a certain number that you're like, when I do my math, I want to be at this?
I don't have a precise number. Again, for me, is that 25% equity position, right?
Yep.
So that will vary by purchase price. I'm only financeable up to a specific amount, so there's that gap that I need to stay under.
Yes, same. That's why I asked that.
Yeah. So, but yeah, for me, it's ultimately like when I look at properties and think of them, I ask myself, is a value there, right? Because that's a foundation. The value has to be there. So.
Yep. Yeah, that makes sense. What do you think, how do you see the financial position that someone should realistically be in before they attempt this strategy? How much should they have in reserves, meaning cash on hand? And is this, I guess the follow-up is this why you're trying to do a smaller down payment to kind of keep those funds in your pocket so you can spend them on doing the rehab work?
Yeah, that's a great question.
I have a lot of them, apparently. I'm happy about this.
Yeah. So I would say that, you want to have a solid foundation financially, right? Because one of the stressful parts about this strategy, just in real estate, right? There's always things that happen during construction.
100%. Yes.
Right. There are, things that go wrong. There are overages that you don't expect. So your reserves matter a lot, right? I remember going through my project and having things happen during the construction project that I did not account for initially during my underwriting, right? So it's those reserves that give you peace of mind at the end of the day. So I'd say, whatever your initial numbers are, make sure you have an additional buffer, right? Whether that's an extra 6 months of payments or an additional 10, 15% contingency on your budget.
Yep.
So
yeah, I agree with that 100%. Yeah, because every time you open a wall, there's something new that you weren't expecting behind it, it seems like. So,
yes, this is why real estate investors are just problem solvers all day. New problems.
And the thing is, with real estate, the bigger the problem you can solve, the bigger the profit that you make. That's really how it all boils down at the end of the day.
Okay, so I want to talk about your first, because Victor has done one live and flip where he's bought it, he has done the renovation, he's lived in it 2 years, and he has sold it, and then he's doing another one. So I want to go through the first deal, which you've kind of gone through the whole gamut on that one. Tell us about the number. So what did you buy it for, and let us into those that process.
Yeah, so I bought the property for $850,000, and I put around $280,000 to maybe $300,000 in the renovation, and I sold it for $1.55 million.
Wow.
So yeah, those are the numbers, right? Yes, profit's great, but I think it's more about the lesson, right? The skill set that you gain, and building a repeatable system that you're able to keep doing over and over and over again. Well, hopefully I don't have to move too many times. But
Yeah. How long did the remodel take? And you moved in when the remodel was finished, but where were you living during those renovations?
yeah, so I was in and out of that property, but kind of set home base at my previous primary. As far as the renovation, that took about 4 months total from start to finish.
Okay, that's pretty fast.
It's pretty fast, yeah. And
really
it's also,
good.
it sounds somewhat typical for like cosmetic. You didn't do like any additional floor or bump out anything like that on the foundation. You were just redoing the interior, right?
Yeah, for the most part, it was a 1947 house that had 2 previous additions to it.
Oh, wow.
So having to work around that was definitely an interesting challenge.
I'm sure, yeah.
But yeah, I would say most of the work was probably in the basement since that requires some reconfiguration. So
Was it unfinished before or kind of finished?
it was finished, but not properly.
Interesting.
One of the things that this process entails, if you want to take your money out, so you buy the house, you remodel it, you move in, and eventually you sell it and you get a profit. But in between that, if you want to get access to like doing a cash out refi or something, you might need to get an appraisal. Did you do that? And what did that come back at? And how did that, like, how long did that process take?
Yes. So again, in order to tap into the equity that you build, I think, untapped equity is just wasted dollars, in my opinion.
Totally. I agree.
Right. And as real estate investors, our job is to keep growing, and capital makes us grow. So yeah, my initial plan was to go in at 5%, right? And once the value was created, either do a cash out refinance or a HELOC. Unfortunately, with rates being at over 6%,
Yeah.
I think we still have around the same nowadays. It made it difficult to qualify for a cash out refi.
Yep. At
So-
that price point now that it's worth way more and you still have the same job. So it's not like you got this huge income boost or anything to make you qualify for a higher.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And yeah, so I swapped strategies like midway through. I like having multiple options, right?
Totally,
Stake,
yeah.
So
And that's why you're so smart.
thank you. But yeah, so that changed. And once I started that process, the refinance was set into place. And then I looked for a HELOC. The value came in at 1,525 for my refinance. However, my credit union wanted a reappraisal. They came in at 1.5, which, I mean, I still get the majority of the initial equity on there accessible. But yeah, that's some high level like numbers on that. So
Yeah.
So it sounds like you got a really good return on this deal. How does that return compare to other strategies that you've evaluated or that you've tried?
So, yeah, absolutely great return. Again, I mentioned briefly that prior to real estate investing, I was doing a lot of stocks investing, right? Dollar cost averaging into those. The returns are better because you create the value. I cannot buy the S&P 500 at 5,000.
Yeah.
Right now, right? I think it's over 6,000 ish. So there's that value creation, right? So, yeah, in my opinion, value add construction like definitely outperforms other ones, right?
Yep.
And the strategy is about creating equity, right? For me, I don't care about cash flow at this point because my goal is wealth creation, right? I can later trade this equity for cash flow, right?
Totally.
So when I compare it, even with other paths within like real estate, such as buy and hold, turnkey rentals that use target cash flow, I can easily outperform the 10% cash on cash returns that a typical buy and hold turnkey investor might have on their portfolio. So
Yeah. Makes total sense. And this is why it's so important for you as the listener to understand what your goal is. Like, it's pretty tough to have value add and get cash flow as a long-term rental in the same deal. Like you're getting one or the other. That's generally how it works. You're either flipping a house and then selling it and getting the cash out of that, or you're buying a rental that somehow is cash flowing for you. Generally, you don't get both. But in this regard, with a live and flip, you're kind of getting two things, just not the same two. You got to live somewhere, so you might as well come in with a lower down payment, use the rest of your cash that you have saved up, or get a loan a different way to remodel, increase the value of the home, make it more livable, and then tap into that while you're even living there like you did. Tap into that with a home equity line of credit or a refinance, pull that cash back out, and now you can redeploy that into another project or save it for the next one that you're going to do. Like there's lots of different ways to do it. Getting back on track with your journey, do you usually, when you're doing a live and flip, when you buy the property, are you remodeling it first before you move in, or are you moving in and trying to do jobs a little bit as you can? Like what's your strategy in that regard?
Yeah, so typically since I buy houses that need a lot of work, I cannot move into those before.
Especially with 3 little kids?
Yeah. Although I would say, on a recent walkthrough, I took my little ones, and they're like, oh, we should probably move to this house as is. And I was like, we should, huh? But, plumbing wasn't working, which they don't understand yet.
Yeah, no.
You're like, there's no toilets, guys. You can't repair.
Those are going to be necessary.
Yeah.
That's funny. Do you design differently when you are planning to live in it versus if you're going to just flip it?
No, not for me personally. Again, I focus on the fundamentals. And one of my great mentors says kitchens and primaries sell houses. So that has stuck with me. And I apply that principle, right? And I go with what will be sellable ultimately. So,
And also, I'll add in this because I've seen some of your projects. You're smart in that, design trends. You're only living in the house for usually 2 years-ish, a year to 2 years, and in that time frame, the design trends don't necessarily change that drastically, that quickly. So as long as you're not on the tail end of a design trend, you're more on the leading end. You're going to be fine.
yeah.
So I think, or maybe you do something more classic that's kind of always in style versus trying to be a little more trendy when you're doing a live and flip. I think that's a good way to approach it. I guess you kind of just answered this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What upgrades matter most in your opinion at a house?
Yeah, so I think in addition to the kitchen and the primary, I would say I focus a lot on the flow of the house, right? In Seattle, we have a lot of basements, so you always want that indoor-outdoor feel. And yeah, you design the house, you want to make it feel natural, right? Especially, trying to fix these old houses. You want to do your best to accomplish that. So design for flow as well.
Yeah. Cool.
Let's talk about your new project. So not only have you done this once, but you're going to do it again. So talk about your new project that you just purchased and what are the details of that deal?
Yeah, so I purchased a new project recently, you're right. This one is in Northwest Seattle.
Okay.
Neighborhood of Ballard.
I've heard of that. I've heard of that neighborhood.
Have you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice one. High level numbers for that one are like the purchase for $870 will probably be close to the 300 mark in renovations for that one. It's a 1905 house. So that one requires a lot of work.
Yeah.
How many square feet is it?
It is 2,200.
Okay.
If I remember correctly. Yeah.
So my guess is 1905, it's going to need basically all new systems. Plumbing, electrical, furnace, all the stuff.
Yeah.
Roof,
Yeah.
windows.
Exactly. Yeah.
Everything, basically.
I call those full guts.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's definitely needs a lot of work. And as you called out, those are, on my list to update. So.
Yep.
So for this particular property, like what is your renovation scope and what things are you trying to fix in the house? We just talked about systems, but are there flow issues? How does it fit your family? And is that a consideration when you're doing these? So what is this house going to be like when it's done?
Yeah, so this one is a long, skinny house. 1905 Craftsman houses are a lot of them are like that.
Yeah,
I come to
it's
find
true.
out, right? So yes, fixing the flow is definitely a problem that I needed to solve. And one of the ways that I like doing that is, figuring out what the current floor plan looks like, and finding the skills that I don't have outside of my expertise. So something that I've been doing a lot of recently is hiring out VAs to help me with that.
So a virtual assistant. Yep.
Yeah, and visualize, like my ideas, my plans, and help with that. And that has paid tremendous dividends. But yeah, so that's one of the biggest issues. Also downstairs, a little funky. Again, I plan to update it in a way that it gives me that indoor-outdoor feel, because this house also has a basement.
Yeah.
So yeah, flow. And then as far as like livability, due to kind of like space constraints, most of our bedrooms will be downstairs. Primary will be upstairs with an office. So that will be a fun conversation with my wife. Let's get this one straight, right? So that probably means, hey, kids will be downstairs.
Yeah.
And we will be upstairs. So
Yep. But having an office upstairs means if you did have a really little one, they could theoretically be in the office early on those first few years, right?
yeah, I call it office, but I think it's going to be a playroom ultimately.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is your projected after repair value for this? And are you thinking about staying the whole 2 years? Is that kind of the plan?
Projected ARV will be around the 1.5 mark. So similar numbers to my previous deal. And yes, I want to stay there for the 2 years because going back to why I'm doing this strategy, in addition to the value add goal for it, right, creating that equity, I pay a lot today in taxes as a W-2 earner. So that helps me minimize some of the impact on the capital gain. So
Yeah.
So you've done this process before and you're doing it again. Is there any lessons that you learned that you would do differently this time?
yeah, so I'm taking everything that I tried on my previous project, right? There were definitely like minor like flow issues that I had to like fix, right? Like on my previous project. I'm taking in the same mindset. I want to say the biggest lesson that I'm bringing forward from my previous project is the decision fatigue, right? That I learned happens on big projects, right?
Yeah.
And balancing that with a W-2 is, something that I'm changing, right? So
Yeah.
I'm coming in with a design package from day one, right? Floor plan, materials, everything set up for up front so that I don't have to make the decisions later on, right?
Yeah.
So
Smart.
do the work up front.
Yeah. We're at,
I feel like we could do a whole podcast about decision fatigue.
we're like
feel it-
99% of the way done with our live and flip. And the decision fatigue is, I'm like, have you ordered the
Christian
lights
is
yet?
driving. He is so annoyed at me right now. There's literally 2 light fixtures that didn't really work. And so he's like, you need to reorder these. And I'm like, I just can't. I can't.
Just pick something.
I picked 1,000 things and now I'm done. Yeah. I have nothing left. And I'm like, you pick them. You pick them. I'm done.
Yeah. The worst is when you change your mind.
That's what it
afterwards.
is.
That's what's
I've
happening.
already picked
We
them.
installed something. She didn't like it.
No,
Now
it
she has to
didn't
pick
work.
something.
It's not that I didn't. It's not
Both.
that I didn't like it. It didn't work.
One you didn't
properly.
like, one that didn't work very well.
Anyways, Christian has some work to do and choose some light fixture. Maybe Victor can help you. Although you have too many decisions too.
I know,
so.
exactly. Yeah.
Never mind. The kids can pick it.
All right, so let's talk about family. How do they feel about moving all the time? Do they like it? Is it exciting? Is it annoying? Do they mind switching schools? Like, where are you at with that?
Yeah, this one hits home, right? Because
Yeah.
it it reminds me of the why, right? Yes, building equity as well is cool, right? It sets you up financially. But the why has always been to get my time back.
Yep.
Right. So it's hard, right? Like moving your kids. It feels chaotic in the moment. But we keep going back to the why, and they see me and my wife building something great together, right? Being patient, thinking about goals.
Wait, you're patient throughout this?
I try my best.
Sorry, I'm not. He's like, wait, this is possible?
You could be that way? No way.
Yeah, so it's about those lessons, right? Yeah. And yes, houses might be temporary, right? I don't think everything's meant to be forever. But the lessons that each house that they live in, they get to carry on, right? So they build new friendships. Their kids are very resilient.
They really are,
right?
yeah.
Like they adapt. I feel like better than adults at times.
Oh, I totally agree. Yeah. As you get older, you get more stuck in your ways, and kids, they're flexible, malleable. They're willing to do whatever.
Yeah. So I'd say, from the kids side, they're fantastic. They, as I like to call it, they roll with the punches.
Yeah.
And my wife has been like absolutely supportive about this move, right?
It's nice that you got an awesome wife.
Yeah, thank you.
I do too.
Yeah, your kids are so sweet too. Like
really are.
I can vouch for having spent time with them that they're, that they'd be all in on whatever makes sense for the family because they're such cooperative kiddos. One thing I was going to say, we were talking to another investor who's used this strategy a lot of times. They also have 3 little kids. I don't know. It's just maybe a trend. If you have 3 kids, you have to do this strategy.
There we go.
And so we were talking to them, and one of the biggest reasons I think people don't do this strategy is what you're saying right now. It's like the moving, the little bit of chaos while you're transitioning. Maybe the kids don't want to move, whatever. And so they said the way they think about it is, okay, so if I paid somebody to come pack my stuff, move it, organize it for me in my new place, like how much would that really cost?
Well, they said this. They said what you just said. How much would I pay someone every year for the next 10 years to pack up all my stuff and move me into a new house, or 5 times over the next 10 years? And if I gave them $1 million, would they be willing to move every 2 years for the next 10 years just to get paid $1 million? And I think most people would say, yeah. And that's basically what you're doing. You want to make $250,000-ish per deal, and you're willing to do it. How many more times are you willing to do this? Do you know yet?
I don't. No, we haven't set a cap.
So you're just going to roll with the punches like you should be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So if you did it for 10 years in total, at the end of 10 years, you'd have at least $250,000, probably much more, or at least $1 million, if not a lot more, just by doing this one strategy. So it's a lot about the mindset that you have coming into it. A lot of people just, I don't know what it is, but they're just not seeing it that way. So I think that could be a helpful mindset shift. There you go. That's what I'm trying to say. Mindset shift for you if you think there's no way I could do this, or maybe I'll do this. If you think of it like that, it might actually work, because you're going to pay movers. And if you really think it's a struggle, pay someone to actually pack up your stuff and unpack it in the new house. Like, go all out, make it as stress-free as possible. There are household organizers that will do this for you, where they unpack. The house is completely organized when they unpack, and you're looking like, you walk into the house and you're like, wow, the house, I just have to live here now. I don't have to do anything.
I didn't know about that.
Oh, yeah. It costs obviously more, but at the end of the day, it makes your life so much easier.
Yeah. And I think the discomfort of having to move makes people not want to do this. But you're right in saying that if I said, I'll give you $1 million if you'll move 5 times
over the next 10 years,
everyone would say yes.
Yeah.
Everyone would be like, yeah, that discomfort's worth it. So I think it's, like you're saying, a mindset shift. And clearly Victor has talked enough to his family about that goal and got them on board to understand that it's worthwhile to go through the process. And I mean, we're probably going to do it too. Like, we've been talking to our kids about it. And I think it's just a shift in your mindset that a little bit of discomfort is really worth the end goal.
Yeah. What do you think the biggest mistake people make when they're analyzing a live and flip is?
Not underwriting appropriately, right? Like you have to like know construction costs or know somebody that knows construction costs
Yeah.
to walk through that.
I mean, if you don't know it, you just have contractors come out and give you bids and ask them to make a line item list, which is not always, they're not always willing to do, but ask them to.
Yeah.
And that will help you get a general idea on that. That's just a quick tip.
Yeah, so I would say, construction costs is because that will protect you, right, from your margin, right, and you're doing this for equity, right? You want to protect that as much as possible.
Yep.
So not knowing their numbers enough, construction, same with like ARV, not knowing those after repair value, I think that's one mistake that I see being repeated often. So
Yeah. So if that is you, if you don't know this info and you're like, well, that's what's stopping me, there are ways to get over that. You can learn. You can ask people that have already been there and done that. You can ask contractors, like I said, to come out and bid out your project and give you a line item breakdown. You can join mentorship programs that you can pay for that give you calculators that do this. You can ask ChatGPT. You can do all sorts of things. There is a way to learn what you don't know yet to stop you from having excuses. So just throwing that out there. You can do this. The information is out there.
Or
You
ask
just gotta
us. I mean, we can
that's what I was going to say
point
next.
you in the right direction.
Exactly. We help our clients do this. So if that is you, lean on us, lean on your team. And that's really what it all boils down to at the end of the day. You have to have a good team that you can lean on, which you have done. And that's what you should do. Lean on your team. You're not going to know everything. Lean on the team to help you fill in the gaps of knowledge that you have. If you were to ask or tell someone that is looking at doing this sometime in the next year, what do you think they need to focus on?
financial certainty, right? You want to come into a project and knowing that, one, you can do your down payment, and two, that you have enough money for rehab, and three, that you have those reserves like we talked about earlier, because that will relieve a lot of pressure, right? And yeah, I would say focus on being financeable.
Yep.
And then everything else will fall into place, right? Finding the right team, looking for the right house. But if you're not financeable, that's sort of a stepping stone that it's a must do. So.
Yeah.
Totally.
And if you need recommendations on who to talk to understand how financeable you are or not, lean on us. Again, we can refer you to people that do this all day, every day, and that can help you figure out what you actually are able to afford.
One thing I want to mention before we wrap up is this strategy can also be used in conjunction with other strategies. So you can do this and build a dado in the back. You can buy a duplex and live in part of it and fix it up and then sell it or keep it late. Like there's lots of different strategy combinations that you can do with house hacking while you're doing it and vice versa. So I just wanted to point out that yes, this is a strategy that's amazing, but it also pairs well with other strategies.
Or build a dado in the back, like we're doing.
Yeah.
Like there's so many different ways to do it. It's not just a very black and white. There's a lot of gray area, but that means there's a lot of opportunity as well.
Yes.
Any last tips that you would give anyone that is considering doing this?
Yes, I would say the difference between the people who are just passively looking at this and the ones actually doing it is the action. Right, so
What it always boils down to.
Yeah, I'd say take the action. There's gonna be things you don't know, right? And there's always discomfort in change. Embrace it, go for it, but have a plan and have the right team, right? So
I think that's brilliant advice. Yeah, very, very well thought out and said. And I think you're 100% right. Like, you are never going to know everything before you start taking action in real estate. Never. I don't know everything, and I've been doing this for over 20 plus years. Like, you can't know everything, so stop trying to tell yourself that you need to learn everything before you take a step. Just take the next step, and then take the next step, and then take the next step. It's just keep moving forward. That's the biggest piece of advice I think you can ever really give anyone that hasn't done this, even people that have done it and that are scared to do it again.
yeah,
Like, it's the same piece of advice. You just got to keep taking action. And that's the key to success in life in general. The ones that actually take action are the ones that are successful. So thank you so much for sharing all of your time, expertise, knowledge. I hope this sheds some light on how this is totally possible for anyone. Like, you have a real job. You are not a full-time real estate investor. You are more of a part-time real estate investor. And you can have a regular old job and do this on the side.
And a family.
And still be very successful. So if that's you and you are like, I don't know if I have the time, you need to make the time if that's really what you want. If the goal is big enough and it's a big enough why as to why you're doing it, you figure it out. So I think that's it. Any last tips from you, Shannon?
No. I'm excited to do this every 2 years.
I know. I am too.
That's
at
our
this
plan.
point. Yeah. We're going to keep going on our end. Victor is going to keep going on his end.
Yes.
It's just such a lower risk way to build a ton of wealth tax-free. Like, it just makes so much sense. And at the end of the day, you get to live in a really nice house for 2 years.
Yeah, that's the best part. We didn't even talk about that.
Yeah, you get to live in a really nice house. Like, for us, we didn't talk about ours at all, but like, I got to add some extra personal things. I was willing to spend a little bit more on choosing things that I actually wanted for myself to enjoy. It might not have been the biggest return on the investment that I'm making, but I'm going to get some enjoyment out of it for the next 2 years. So
Yeah, not super expensive stuff.
they're not
but
super
just
expensive things, but they're little things here and there that I'm like, I've always wanted this, and I think that would bring me a lot of joy. So we added that. And that's the beauty of doing this. You can do that if you want to. Living in a nice house doesn't suck.
It doesn't.
And after we do this, 5 times over the next 10 years, we're going to live in a really nice house.
Yeah.
Or be financially free, or whatever your goal is. Like, it's pretty cool. It's a fun journey to go on.
Yeah, it's a fun one for sure.
Yeah. All right. So thank you, Victor, for all of your knowledge and sharing. Thank you, Shannon, for yours as well. That's it for this episode of the Awesome in Seattle podcast. We'll see you next time. See ya.